Hey, what is up guys? Today I want to take a look at comparing a naturally lit shot versus a strobed shot. So let's start off with natural light. This one here has seen a little bit of editing. I brought two exposures into Photoshop and merged both the polarizations to cut down on the reflections. The main thing you're going to see here between the two pictures, you're still going to have some reflections from the environment. If you look under the headlight, you can see the building behind me, and same thing on the hood and the windshield. You can see the buildings, and also the color cast from the orange lights is reflecting all over the front bumper. Now after adding the lights to the car, you can see everything's a little bit more evenly lit, and you don't have any of those reflections in the paint anymore. But I will say that strobing a shot like this takes a lot longer to edit than using ambient light, so it really depends on your budget and how much time you have to edit these shots as to which one you're going to want to use. But let's just jump right in to see how you get all these together in Photoshop. So in Lightroom, the important part is to make sure you choose each of your shots that you lit to make sure that you have every part of the car covered, from the side, the wheels, the hood, all of those. And you're going to want to change your white balance, exposure, highlight, shadows, all that, just to make sure it's right before you bring it into Photoshop, and just sync them all together and then open them as layers in Photoshop. Once all of your layers have loaded up into Photoshop, you'll want to go through and label what each of them are lighting, and then bring your background to the bottom and just start working your way up from there. Now with all the blending modes in Photoshop, there's probably a million different ways to put this shot together, so I'm going to show you the difference between just a couple. Using the light and blending mode is probably the fastest way to put this shot together, but the only downside is going to be it'll brighten up everything in the scene, and there's going to be a lot of shadows that you still want to keep in your shot. So we'll use a normal blending mode, and we're going to put a black mask by control clicking on the layer mask button. And from here we're going to paint in white on only the areas that we want to show through for this layer. Now if you overpaint, you can click X to switch back to black, and you can just paint over all the spots where you messed up. This will probably be one of the more time consuming parts of the edit. You're going to have to go through layer by layer and make sure everything just lines up perfectly, and that can get kind of tricky with all the bends and the curves in the car. Sometimes the lighting's a little bit hard to get to mesh together really well, but just take your time with it and you'll get a much better result. So once you finish blending most of the light layers together, you're going to want to go ahead and cut the car out so you can get a clean mask between your car and your background. And to do this, I'll use the pen tool, which again takes a little bit more time, but you'll get a much cleaner result using this than something like the quick select tool, because it usually ends up looking a little bit messy. So you'll just go around point by point around the entire car. And if you don't know how to use the pen tool, there are plenty of videos out there that can explain it probably much better than I can. So just give that a search. It's definitely worth knowing how to use. Once you have your selection made for your car, I would just highlight all the shots that you used on the car and then click Ctrl G to create a group, and then you can apply the mask to the group and that'll control everything in that group. So the rest of the editing is really going to come down to how in-depth you want to get. From here I'm just going to add in the headlights, do a few color adjustments on the background and some curves on the car just to even everything out a little bit more, and then clone a few things out of the background, and that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any other questions, anything you want me to add on to this kind of video, any other kind of videos to do, just leave a comment below. I'm really just kind of winging it right now, but if you guys like it, I'll keep doing some more. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.